Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on. And it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they've died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saying 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin. They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control. which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version.
5 ones before me. 3. There are only 2 possible explanations. There were 5 ones before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to bits! You can't make me do anything like Chris!
Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga. And if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? Knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, "Brother Greg, you coming by today?" And I said, "Malcolm, I love you." And I said, "I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there." He said, "What do you mean, Brother Greg?" I said, "Well, I close tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East." And I said, "But I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get 2 of us for the price of 1. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government going to get you."
Yeah, what's good, everybody? You know who this is. This is your whiteologist. Welcome to the Black Minds News. That's right, I'm your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind. This channel is to report, transmit, communicate, articulate, reiterate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, website, quotes from publication, As I, your whiteologist, articulates these information, I ask that the creator of the universe be present. And as a descendant of the greatest people who was ever assembled in this land, as part of the descendants of the slaves, I ask and give honor to them as well. For the reason for that, because the truth don't need no partner. And you know what my motto is, y'all? I'm not going to tell you what I heard. I'm going to tell you what I know. All right. What's good, everybody? Want to say first and foremost, to all those who might be subscribers, what's good? Those passing by, welcome. And the agents, okay. So, again, it's been a couple of days since the last time I was on. You know how it goes, y'all. There's always something going on, especially as a whiteologist. You're looking at all the things. And some of the things that are just happening just, you know, becomes monotonous at times. All right, just constantly just a river keep flowing and things that just keep happening, and we're just constantly trying to, you know, keep our head above water so we don't sink. All right. So let's get into the show. Well, first and foremost, we got to get into this particular one because, well, you know, I talked about, remember that, I think it was that Lyft driver. Remember the situation with the Lyft driver and the passenger? That I think his name was Robert Ortiz. Well, he came out the other day, based on after all that took place, he ended up getting fired, right? And then he came out and did a video. I'm going to play that for you. And let's see what he says here. Then I'll get back to it. And see what he's talking about here.
Were unjustifiable. There's nothing that I can say behind that to say, but this, no. I was drinking. A lot of the stuff that I said, I didn't even remember till the next day.
I'm gonna make sure that you never have a Lyft job again.
That's not how I was raised to treat people. I grew up in the projects. So I just want to make sure that people understand that I'm not racist.
The recording me without my consent.
I'm Puerto Rican. I'm from the Bronx. I'm gay. Like, we know discrimination. You smell it in the air. You just know when someone's uncomfortable with you. I don't have anything deep or anything back in my mind. It was nothing like that. It was just things that I said because I felt just some sort of way at that moment. Just want to go on with my life. I'm not racist. My actions were completely wrong. I wouldn't want anyone to be spoken to the way that I spoke to him. The only thing I can say is that I'm sorry.
I'm Robert Ortiz, and on August 12th of 2018, I requested a Lyft that had a dramatic change in my life by my own actions. I requested a Lyft driver, Sean Peppers, on August 12th, 2018. He picked us up at a gay bar up in the Upper East Side. We were a little intoxicated, so I was a little loud, and the two people that were with me were a little loud as well when we got into the car. When we got into the car, we proceeded to drive, and I had requested some music. Mr. Peppers decided to turn off the music and say his radio wasn't working. After that, I just looked at him and said, "What do you mean your radio isn't working? This is Lyft." He stopped at the next corner, called the local law enforcement, because prior to him recording me, he called the local law enforcement and said that he was being robbed and that we had a gun. So I, being intoxicated, went a little bit more than what I should have in the words that I chose that night. And I proceeded to say things very vile. I proceeded to say things that were very upsetting when you look at it, because that's not how I was raised. They were very disrespectful to another human being. And I violated his personal space as well. A lot of those things weren't acceptable. I was born in the Bronx. I'm Latino and I'm gay. So I faced many challenges that a lot of people have faced on an everyday basis. So for me to even treat someone in that aspect was very wrong on my part. And for that, I do apologize. When it affected my job the following day that I lost it, it gave me a realization. And from there, it got hard, because then I was trying to think about, how am I going to explain this to my mom? You know, my mom is a cancer survivor, a 2-time cancer survivor, and I take care of her bills, and I take care of her medical needs whenever she falls sick or anything in general. I just recently had my mom empty out her living room and stuff like that because I wanted to surprise her with some gifts for the holidays as far as furniture. When this video went viral and I lost everything, it hurt because I have to explain to my mom that my actions of being drunk and the things that I said and the words that I chose affected all of us. And for that, I'm sorry. For Mr. Sean, I'm sorry that I may have said things to you that was so disrespectful or violated your personal space. I'm from New York. Sometimes you say things just to get under somebody's skin, and I think that's what I was trying to do. When I saw that I said that I voted for Trump, I almost vomited in my mouth. Like, we say things just to get people upset at the moment. And a lot of the things that I said weren't acceptable again, but they were just said out of anger. And as a man, I'm sorry for that. In helping people, because I helped my dad before he passed the cirrhosis of the liver a year ago in September. I helped my mother-in-law when she fell real ill and she couldn't fend for herself. And I helped my mom at the moment, who recently just had a slight heart attack about 2.5 weeks ago. So continue and try to take care of my mom and try to take care of my own bills. That's all I'm trying to do. And if I've affected you or offended you, I apologize for that. But the words that I chose were completely wrong. And I'm just sorry at the end of the day. And there's nothing that could justify my actions. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for a GoFundMe. I'm not looking for anything. I'm just looking for go back to work and take care of mine. The same way you need to take care of yours. And I'm glad that you were able to get the help that you did get, and you have about $40,000 to help support your family, and you have your job back. So I'm really glad. But God is good, and I know I'm gonna get through this. So the only thing I'm asking for is to move forward. So with that being said, I'm sorry again to anyone I have offended. In an African-American community, my Hispanic community, just anybody I have offended in general. Because at the end of the day, we all matter as people. And I'm sorry.
Hey, how you doing? This is Seji Heat.
So that is Robert Ortiz, the passenger that was in the lift that I showed for those who was here the other day, 2 days ago when I showed that story. Come out with an apology. That's up to you whether you accept that or not. Right? It's up to you whether you think it's sincerity or not. But again, is it really about that? Or is it just a simple fact that, you know, somebody getting humbled based on something? Again, we're going to sing the Jamie Foxx song, blame it on the alcohol, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to blame it on the alcohol. Right? We're going to be apologetic about what transpired, but we still are not taking full responsibility on the actions that we display, even though we're doing a video, right? But he blames it on the alcohol. And one thing I know, at least that was they always said, is alcohol is kind of like the truth serum, right? Get somebody drunk and you kind of find out who they is, right? They, you know, that public relation person that you get, like say for instance, if you go out on a date and you with somebody and they drink a little bit too much and then they start talking and things start falling out their mouth and certain, you know what I'm saying? So truth serum. So that's what ended up happening that night. You're a little bit too much under the sauce. And then things start falling out your mouth. That's how you really truly feel. Because don't they say that a lot of that is to suppress? You know, when people who are dealing with a lot. So in the sense of this person here, this Robert Ortiz, he reiterates a lot that he deals with the fact that he's gay, that he's Puerto Rican, and that, you know, he was raised better than that. And okay, we hear all that, right? We hear all that. And then to say that, you know, the way, you know, it's always funny, like when you're in situations like that. And then when people have to write what took place, especially when a person know that they're in the wrong, but they try to take certain aspects of the situation and try to make it not as bad as it really was. What you mean by that, Mr. Williams? What I mean is this. He said, well, you know, order the lift car. They come there, pick him up from a gay club. Now, you just been out partying with you, and I'm not sure who that was with you. Matter of fact, I heard it was 2 other people back there, but when we seen the video, and it seemed like it was 1. So you just been partying all night. You get in the car, and your mind is still on. You want some more music, right? And based on this service, you think, again, you're supposed to get the full service. You think you entitled to the car. What you got? You got some peanuts in here. What you got up in that glove compartment? You got some donuts, or you got something to drink in there. As a matter of fact, while you at it, why don't you put on this radio station or put this CD I got in, right? You asking for, what they say, you're doing too much, right? A person is actually doing too much. And so you're already under the sauce, and then you see, again, the true serum is now making you agitated because somebody told you no. You know, like some people are not used to hearing that word, somebody telling them no. And so they get to feeling some kind of way. And so what happened is you acted an ass and you did too much, right? And it ended up costing you your job. So now he's eating, as they say, crow. And now he wants to give you his life story of his suffering. Oh, my mom. And again, I don't say this to be saying anything negative towards his mom, right? This, you know, you don't condone when somebody is going through illness and they're hurting and so forth. But we're just going to say he's bringing this up because he needs brownie points. What is he really searching for, and what is he asking for? I said, well, his mom, she just recently had a heart attack. Father died last year. You know what I'm saying? He's supporting his mom financially and all this good stuff, right? Right? So we understand you just lost your job. Right? Matter of fact, on that video, he was talking about he was Robert I got 2 jobs. Right? So I don't know, did he lose both jobs? Right? So he ended up, you know, he's discriminating. Now, he talks about him being gay and him being Puerto Rican, and as a person, he knows what that feels like. But it must be worse to be black, because he sure let it all hang out, didn't he? He said, nigga, 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 nigga. You get what I'm saying? And he was very flamboyant with that. And so he said when he went back and he viewed the tape, he said he couldn't believe that his own self had said, I voted for Donald Trump. That it made him almost regurgitate. It made him almost throw up. Right? Really? Really? So we don't really know whether you voted or not, but that's what you say after the math. But during the heated battle, you was a proud American who voted for Donald Trump. Right? So check this out. The fact was, he goes through this whole thing about how he's apologizing and how he's sorry. And, you know, I'm not looking for sympathy. And then he says, well, I know Mr. Sean got $40,000 that people donated for him because he lost his job. Now, I have been trying to do some research and trying to figure out, why would that brother lose his damn job based on you acting an ass in the back seat, and it's been recorded? So I didn't understand why that brother would have lost his job, and then people donated due to the fact that everybody seen the video. And then he says, well, he's got $40,000. He can help take care of my family, but now I lost my job and I'm suffering. Woe, woe, woe is me. Right? Woe is me. But he says, God is good. Yes, the Creator is good. See, sometimes when you dish out certain things, you get it in return. And you didn't know that, again, see, when you was doing all that and talking that slickness, that it would actually come back and bite you in the ass. So we don't gloat. We don't, you know, smile. But again, it was just kind of one of those things. My man got paid for his demeanor to hold his, you know, hold his pose, take what you was giving him. Most again, when I talked about it 2 days ago, I told you, certain of us would have probably did certain things, especially when she went and took the phone and rubbed it across my lips or my nose or whatever. That would have just been enough of a spark to get it started. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to that brother, and he held out, and eventually he ended up is the winner in the situation. But again, to Robert Ortiz, hopefully everything works out for you. A lesson well learned. And we're going on to the next story. So, I got another story for you. So let's say, I talked about police. I talk about the police sometime when I see certain situations and things are happening. So is there a question goes out to y'all, which is like, well, say if you're a police officer, are there certain situations where you just say, well, are you observant of the situation, or you just gun-ho in the situation, or you don't give no care, or you just, you do whatever it takes to get back home that night, right? So here's a situation that took place where happened in Galveston, Texas, right? Let me play this for you and see how this going to work for you.
On August 15th, on a day he was supposed to celebrate his child's birthday. That is why the entire family went to Galveston. Instead, at some point, he ended up in the back of a police car, and now they're considering suing the police department.
Isaac Walton is fighting for his life. Diagnosed with leukemia, he has a PICC line in his arm that infuses chemotherapy drugs directly into his body. So the last thing he expected, a battle with the Galveston Police Department.
They had already taken control over me without even asking me anything.
On August 15th, Walton was walking along the seawall when he stopped at a jetty. He says within minutes, he was grabbed by police officers.
Immediately, I tried to say, sir, I have a PICC line on this side and I have leukemia. And they didn't listen to anything I had to say.
Walton says the officers ignored his pleas about his cancer and instead threw him on the ground.
They beat him, they put handcuffs on him, throw him in the back of a car. They don't charge him with anything. They tell him that he's not under arrest. Then they take him and they drop him off at a emergency room.
He was eventually found by his family at the hotel they were staying. They took him to MD Anderson and documented his injuries with photos. The cancer patient was later charged with resisting arrest. His attorney says none of that makes sense.
If anybody should be charged in the case, it's the police officers that assaulted him.
Galveston police would not comment on camera, but in a statement said their officers were initially called to the jetty for a welfare check on a man that turned out to be Walton, and that the situation escalated, an assertion Walton calls ridiculous.
They're trying to cover up their actions of what they did and trying to pin something on me so it looks like I'm a criminal.
As his resisting arrest charges are pending, Walton's attorneys are now considering a federal lawsuit. In Galveston, Maya Shea, 13 Eyewitness News.
So here was a gentleman that was in Galveston, Texas, was suffering with leukemia. So somehow there was a well check called to go check on him. And the police seen him and looked like he got some melanin in him, right? And so instead of them coming doing a well check, they had issues. Well, he trying to tell him, look, man, I got leukemia. I got these catheters in my arm, and they ain't get no fuck. You know what they did? They beat his ass up. And then once they realized after they beat him up in the way that he was like, man, instead of charging him with something, they said, we're going to drop his ass at the hospital. So they did it, drop him off at the hospital. Now he gets to the hospital and he see how he was looking. He was looking all beat up and bruised up real bad. Then they came back and it was like, you know what I'm saying? He was resisting arrest. This is what took place. He was, refuting our authority. Again, they always say there's good cops and there's bad cops, right? So, I know we can always, those who do reporting and stuff like that, we can always go and find stories like this and be like, look. But the point is, if it's merited as a cop, we could never be sitting here reporting and be like, look, there's something wrong with that. Based on this man's condition, and then you didn't have nothing that warrant you to even get into that situation, then what was the real mindset of you in the first place to even do what you did, right? You did what you wanted to do because, again, respect my authority, right? You know what I'm saying? Respect my authority, right? Those kind of people that, again, when I talked about sometimes back in a couple of videos, those who've seen, I talk about people who get certain titles, right? And they have this entitlement that they believe because I have a badge, I have a position of title, that you're supposed to kneel to Zog. And so, again, what they say in Spider-Man, with great powers comes great responsibilities. But we're seeing that people are abusing the situation. But see, again, kind of like what happened with the Robert Ortiz situation, this man here seems like he's probably going to get a nice payday. So, yeah, hopefully that's what ended up happening. We'll stay tuned to that story and give you some updates as they come later down over the time, right? So, let me see who all out here. Before we move on any further, let me see who I got out here. Who do I got out here tonight? I got about six people in the house. I got Out the Box, always number one. How you doing, Mrs. and Mr. Out the Box? Lorenzo Williams, Fort Worth in the house. All right, you from Texas. You probably was up on that story then, right? You knew about that, what happened? Did you hear about that in Galveston? Well, you know, hopefully I wasn't more family member for you. But what's up? What's good with you? And to anybody else in the house who has not spoken. So, let's get on with the show. This story here came up. I thought it was interesting since we're talking about cops. And this has a twofold. It's kind of a catch-22 situation, the way I'm looking at it, right? It has an element that seems, that appears on the surface that it is good community, it is professionalism, and it's showing a touch of care. But there's always that little undertone if you know how to find it. Well, what you talking about, Mr. Blower? Check this out. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you this. Let's see if we can get it. See if we're gonna work good tonight. Let's see how it's gonna work.
Because you know where I was at? I'm driving with my friend, okay?
Yes, sir.
And we're talking, and then all of a sudden a gun run comes in. So we're driving down the road, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they call in and they say there's two young male blacks, one with all red pants and a blue sweatshirt, and one wearing red and black. They look really young and they just flashed a gun. Okay? Do you think, listen, here's the deal. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You had to show somebody, because how the hell did they know you had it?
I ain't showing them, but I know I was just holding it, like running like this.
Okay, you can't do that, dude.
Sorry,
in today's world, listen,
yes.
That thing looks real, bro.
I'm so sorry.
You should be sorry, and you should be scared.
Yes, sir. If that was a different cop, bro, he could. And you put it out, you should have just, I got it right here. No, I didn't want to shoot.
I know you didn't want me to shoot. You think how old are you, boy?
11 years old.
How old are you, young man?
13.
Do you think I want to shoot an 11-year-old?
Yes,
do you think I want to shoot a 13-year-old? Do I honestly look like the type of dude that wants to shoot anybody?
Yes, sir.
But do I look like the type of dude that will shoot somebody?
Yes, sir.
All right. I pride myself being a pretty bad hombre, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I gotta be.
Yes, sir.
Don't make me.
Yes, sir.
I pull up on him, and I'm not gonna lie to you, you know, doing cop stuff, I drew down on him. While I'm rolling up on him in the car, he freaks out, and he starts to pull the gun out of his waistband.
He could have shot you for that, you know that?
He dropped it real fast, and I didn't know it was a BB gun until it hit the sidewalk. Regardless of what people say about the dudes wearing this uniform, okay, we care, all right? We legitimately care. I've been in the military, I've been overseas, I'm a police officer. I've had to do things that I hope that your generation never has to do. Having said that, the last thing I ever want to do is shoot an 11-year-old man, because your life hasn't even gotten started yet, and it could have ended.
Right.
Because I wouldn't have missed. I could have killed you. I want you to think about that tonight when you go to bed. You could be gone. Everything you want to do in this life could have been over.
So, it seemed like it was one of those moments. It was like a good moment for those young little men, young boys, right? So it was a situation where two young boys was out. One's 11, one's 13. And they're playing with BB guns. And as usual, certain persuasion of people see people of melanin, and they always say they look a little bit suspicious. They say, oh, they got guns, right? We heard that before with the Tamir Rice situation, right? So in this case, you hear the officer reiterates, he says, well, I was talking with a friend, and then we get a call on our radio stating the fact that there's two young men, they give the description, black males, and they got guns, right? But the key part was that you knew that they were extremely young. As again, I think he said back in the day, he said they had to be real young. So he gets there. He said he drew out on them. Now, you hear him when he talks to their mothers, he's telling them, I actually had drew out on them, but the other one dropped the gun, and the other one was freaking out, right? Now, again, I haven't been no police officer, but I'm just assuming that in that situation, and you see kind of they blurred out, you don't get to see the actual faces of them, but, you know, I'm pretty sure the first thing you got to do is you going to protect yourself, right? They real little. I'm just assuming, what if they were white, right? If they white, do you come out directly gun drawn, or are you a little bit more observant, trying to see what's going on, and you don't, you know, you got kid gloves, right, as they say, right? You have soft gloves dealing with the situation, but you come out drawn, right? So, of course, the little one going to be freaked out, but then come to find out they had BB guns. Now, okay, in one aspect, you can look at the police officer based on what he's trying to tell them. He's teaching. He's giving them a teaching moment. He said, look, you know, in this day and age, in this world we in right now, which they 13 and 11, they don't know what the hell what you talking about when it comes to that shit. Again, as I talked about a couple nights ago, talking about majority of the molding of the minds that most of us got comes from TV, right? Watching everything pretty much got something to do with killing, murdering, you know, some kind of form of criminality, right? This is actually the foundation of the molding of most of the mind. So again, you know, they say back in the day it was cops and robbers, and then it was cowboys and Indians. All that shit got to do with guns. So the natural progression, even though we're in another period of time where we at today compared to those times, things ain't changed. The guns even changed to the fact that back in the day when they had that cowboy Indian, that little cap gun, that shit didn't look real. You knew it was a cap gun, little white, you know, handle and kind of silver plasticky, right? Remember that? For y'all been around little cap guns and shit. These guns down there, why are they manufacturing guns that look like real guns? You know what I'm saying? Think about that. I mean, play guns have to have the realistic look to the fact that damn near the police or anybody else can't even really tell that this gun is not real. Now, again, those are BB guns, right? And BB guns do have that realistic look to it. So this cop here is a teaching moment. He says, look, man, based on the call and all this stuff, man, you could have got fucked up in this situation, right? Y'all could be raising up stinking. You know what they say back. You might be stinking somewhere. And the little boy, you know, I know, you know. So the cop says, now the funny part was, he asked the first one, he said, boy, right? It fell out. It was like, boy. And they asked one, young man. He said, boy, the first one, and then young man, because that boy slipped out. See, he said, do you think I'm the type, now, he gonna ask 11 or 13-year-old, you think I'm the type that wants to, you know, do this? And do I look like, wait a minute. Shh. Again, for those who've seen my videos, did Jason Van Dyke look like he the type that'll come out the car and shoot you up 16 times? It ain't got nothing about how you looking. They ain't got nothing to do with it, right? It has something to do with the psychosis of an individual. It got nothing to way how you appear. We don't know what's in your mind, right? So this cop, again, in some aspects, it has good, but again, it still has the undertone because he told them, you could be dead. Think about this when you go tonight. You could be dead. What kind of, wait a minute. If you, again, I understand you trying to tell from your perspective, but isn't there a better way to have that conversation with them? First of all, and then I'm not going to be so much, reprimanding him because it was funny that whoever mother that was going to say that, well, he could have shot you. That's your job. Ain't that your job to make sure that to tell your 11 and 13-year-old that when you out here, right? See, what happened to these conversations in these families when they're supposed to be having these teaching moments? I know some of these families are not having a man in a household, right? But it's not like women don't have fathers, and it's not every black woman just because she is a single parent don't mean that she didn't have a father. Everybody wants to reiterate and put that always on the onus on it. But some women, even though they are single parents, still could have had a father. So they got some teaching somewhere. And I'm not going to say that every father got some game to give, right? But she sits there and said, don't you know? You know what I'm saying? See, that thing about now you in a situation and now you're going to talk. But this is the talk you're supposed to have before they even get outside. They supposed to be up on all that. Look, don't be playing with no gun. You know about Tamir Rice. You heard about what happened to Michael Brown. You heard what happened to Trayvon Martin. You understand? These things supposed to be reiterated in the minds. See, if you want to act as if like this ain't part of the conversation, then when situations happen, you gonna carry that bag. You gonna carry all that guilt. So to prevent that, at least you can say you taught them. Right? And then that situation don't happen. So, but again, it still had that connotative spirit, like he telling them, I'm a bad hombre and don't make me have to. What you mean, don't make me? You talking to 11 to 13, meaning the next time I may see you later on, you're going to be older. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to shoot first, ask questions last. You get what I'm saying? So even though it would seem like in one aspect he was, telling you his background, oh, I've been in the military. Everything you talking about is about killing. You get what I'm saying? You're military, but that's killing too, right? People try to act like because I'm in the military and then I become a cop. Well, you went somewhere, did your duty for the country. We don't know what many of you do when you get in there, because a lot of times people don't like to talk about it in the story because they do a lot of crazy shit and a lot of killing and raping and all kind of shit, and they come back and talking about PTSD or whatever that shit they call to get when their mind be all fucked up. We know, right? And so then you're going to throw them back in the community where we live in, and they already been killing, so why you think a lot of them so quick with the damn trigger? But at least this one had enough sense to know because it was already reiterated that they were young. So he knew. But again, it is what it is. And just as for this, for the show and those who might be hearing, you better reiterate this stuff. Grandchildren, children, whatever it might be, because they got to know. Can't be just out here willy-nilly and out here just maneuvering when you got, trigger finger and, nervous people who, again, sometimes don't even live in let's say that, don't say they don't live. Let's say they didn't reside and grow up amongst certain people. And then that's where you have to punch the clock, and this is where you're making your money. So you're not really accustomed to the culture and environment. So you, again, and then you hear all the stories, and now it's prime time is live. So, that's what a lot of shit be happening, right? So again, we're going to move on. So while we're talking about that, check this out. See, again, we talk about that state of mind, right? So again, here was two little young black boys or young men. I won't say boys because that's what he said. He said boy. So now let's flip this story. I'm going to give you a scenario now on the other side, but look at the situation and let's see what they say and how they dealing with it. Check this out.
This girl is going around like telling everyone basically at this point that she had brought in these cookies to school with human ashes in them.
You heard that right. Cookies with human ashes in them. That's the allegation. This student says he saw a girl passing those cookies around at Da Vinci Charter Academy's high school in Davis 2 weeks ago, adding she said it was her grandmother's cremated remains baked into them.
She was giving them to people and it was just weird.
According to this Da Vinci High student, whose family agreed to speak to Fox 40 about the incident on the condition we hide their identity for fear of repercussion from the Davis Joint Unified School District.
It blew my mind, and I was really repulsed, and I was, upset that, I wasn't even notified.
What these parents are most upset about, however, the way the school handled the bizarre incident.
So do you think if your son hadn't told you anything?
Oh, I would never have known. Absolutely would never have known.
This mother says school administrators questioned her son, fearing he may have eaten one of the cookies. Her son says after being questioned, he was asked to submit a statement about what happened and sign it.
After that, he told me not to tell anyone.
The district seems to be a little bit more concerned about, protecting themselves than protecting their students.
This student's mother says she met with Tyler Millsap, Da Vinci High's principal, and demanded a copy of that statement her son was asked to sign. But since the incident, nothing has been sent to parents about it. Both Principal Millsap and the district declined interview requests, but we did get a statement that reads in part, while we cannot comment on confidential student matters, the physical and social emotional safety of our students is first priority. This case has been particularly challenging and we've responded appropriately and in the most respectful and dignified way possible.
Okay, so now we have little white girl decides that she wants to bake some cookies and take them to school. Oh, ain't that so nice? You're going to come bring a snack. Everybody when they was in school loved a snack. No, but this one here got some special ingredients in that shit. That shit got grandma's ashes in it. Huh? Got grandma's ashes sprinkled in the damn cookie dough with chocolate chips on it, and I'm going to serve it. And I'm actually telling people, hey Biff, there's grandma's ashes in these fucking cookies, man. Huh? That kind of shit. Now, as you heard that story, as fucked up as that shit sound, we ain't hear nothing about authorities nor police in none of that story. Huh? None of that. We're going to handle this. And matter of fact, the school got to the school was like, we ain't going to even tell the parents. The only reason why that story got out is because one, student who decided to talk is because he probably ate one of the cookies. And then came to find out, he pissed off. You understand? Again, let me tell you something. See, sometimes fucking with white people sometimes, you got to be careful when you fuck around with them. Because, see, they kind of do some shit like this. I want to go to school one time and went to this motherfucking house. You know what I'm saying? First time with the house, I don't know why the fuck I was over there. He was classmate shit. So we went over to his motherfucking house. He was crazy motherfucker any motherfucking way. So, this motherfucker, you ever seen them milk bone dog biscuits? Not that brown one. We talking about that one that kind of like a motherfucking cookie in the middle got like a brown in it. Motherfucker thought I didn't know that shit. This nigga was acting like he was eating that shit, right? Well, trying to hand the shit to me. I didn't really know that it was, but something in me, my ancestors was in me like, don't eat that shit. Don't you eat that shit. Don't eat it. Because in my mind, I'm like, that motherfucker ain't no cookie, man. I don't know what the fuck that shit is. So he like, man, why you eating cookie? Look, I'm eating. He acting like, nah, I'm going to eat it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to eat it. Shit, I ain't eat that shit. Then he laughed. This shit was motherfucking milk, boy. I thought your ass was going to eat it. Yeah, my ass told me don't touch that shit. Don't trust your ass. And motherfucker, next time I ain't fucking with you. You understand? See? So same situation here. What is in the mind of white people that do, Again, you're in high school. What's in your psychosis to make you want to put grandma's ashes in motherfuckers' cookies and pass this shit out? Oh, but that's kind of natural. We're going to handle it in a way. No, that shit seems like a crime. You making me, consuming, some cadaver or ashes in my body. And what's that going to do to me psychologically when I figure that shit out? You get what I'm saying? But see, they handle it with soft gloves. Oh, no. I had another story that I was going to show y'all, but they wouldn't give me the video to it. I'm going to tell you about it anyway, since I'm talking about this shit, just to show you the difference. And it's the same scenario. Again, remember the two little brothers had the BB gun, and police, somebody called again, somebody being nosy as usual, always, again. I'm not saying it's not warranted. I'm not saying that if you see some shit like that, you need to be like, okay, how we deal with it. Now, little boy, this was in London. You might can look this up. It was a little boy in London. Radio cameras catching him taking the neighbor's dog, which was a little tiny ass dash hound, and he was just beating the shit out the dog, slamming the shit out the dog, hit the dog with a motherfucking bat, and all that shit. The reason they found this, the dog was fucked up, he couldn't walk and shit, and so they was like, what the fuck happened to the dog? So they review the tape and shit, and they see the little boy. And he just fucked the damn dog up, right? But not one time in the story did they ever mention we gonna call the cops, because this motherfucker is gonna grow up to be a serial killer. You hear what I'm saying? If you see it, if you should be interested, go look, you'll see. Because I couldn't get the video for it. It is a video, but I couldn't find it to get it, so that's why I ain't sure. But I'm just telling you about it. But again, two different sides of the law, two different ways of how you handle situations, right? So what happened? So again, Mr. Brody, man, see, no, you're exaggerating. Why are you trying to make that situation like it is? It's not like that. It was just they had guns. Nobody knew. All right, well, fuck it. How about this shit? I got one for you. How about this one? What about this? Huh? Did y'all see this? Let's see. Hold on.
The outrage growing over a woman who called the police on a young man who was babysitting two white children. This morning, we're hearing the 911 call. ABC's Steve O has the story. Steve, good morning.
Good morning to you. With the parents of these children had to get a call from police scaring them silly that something was wrong. They had to verify that this babysitter was supposed to be with their children.
I am being harassed and followed.
For so many reasons, the video Corey Lewis recorded on his cell phone has been seen around the world.
I got two kids I'm babysitting.
You see him being pulled over last Sunday by Cobb County Police, answering a call in the Atlanta suburbs, and the officer asked the two children he was babysitting to step out of the car.
We ate at Subway, at Walmart, went and got some gas. She pulled up talking about are the kids okay? Why wouldn't they be okay?
Someone had called 911 reporting a suspicious black man with the children.
See this black gentleman with these two little white kids, so I just had a funny feeling.
This morning we're hearing that call to 911 from the unidentified woman who spotted them at a Walmart.
I rode around again and I said, let me see the little girl. He goes, no. And I said, well, let me just see the little girl and just see if she knows you.
What she didn't know is that Lewis runs a youth mentorship program with kids of every race and has babysat these kids for the past 2 years.
He just got gas and now he's pulling away. Should I follow him?
No, I recommend not following him.
And if I'm wrong, that's great. I'm thrilled. But if I'm not, then these kids are okay.
The children's parents are not happy.
They understood what was happening, and they both said that they were scared. They said that they were scared that he was going to be arrested. They said they were scared they were going to say the wrong thing and that he would be arrested.
The parents of the children were greatly upset by this and say they wish their children didn't have to learn this lesson. For all this caller knew, the babysitter could just as easily have been the children's father. There are families who look like this all across America, including mine. None of this would have happened if the babysitter and the kids were of the same race. Guys?
And Steve, we understand that you had an experience similar to this one. What can you tell us?
I have a white daughter, and she was very aware of the looks that we would get. People would look at us sideways. I remember once we were at a farmer's market, and her response to it was to grab my arm, rub it, get close to me to really give people something to talk about, or really tell them that she belonged with me, that she was part of my family. I think there are so many families that look like this across America, and this is something that you wish weren't happening in 2018.
Absolutely. Steve, thank you for sharing that, too. It really is something that has a lot of people talking.
Yeah, this is our America.
Absolutely.
This is what we look like.
Yeah. Not just 2018, ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, it never happened.
Exactly.
So, a black babysitter. Black babysitter. I forget how you got that job. You definitely had to be friends. A man watching your children, you like that. So, anyway, with that being said, right, I'm not sure if the video done stopped because it looked like it might have stopped. Did it stop? So, anyway, so here was a man who was babysitting 2 white children. And Don Quixote is driving What Would You Do, seeing like a car, and she said, well, the girl looked like she looking at me like she knew me, like she was really, reading her mind telepathically, like she was telling her mind, help me, nigger is stealing me, right? So she decided to be, she gonna do some detective work. She followed him to the gas station, you know what I'm saying? Double back around. I just want to make sure. Now, remember what she said on the video. She said, well, I'm calling because I see a black guy with 2 kids and, 2 white kids. And, if they're his, great. If not, great. What do you mean great? What do you mean great? What do you mean? If you calling and it's not warranted with what you doing, then why is it great? Well, I don't give a fuck. What the fuck? It interrupt his day. It doesn't matter. But if it's preventing them from, this funny feeling I got. No, the funny feeling you got was racism. That's what the funny feeling was. Who was this nigga with them 2 white kids? Again, in America, that you see this so-called multiculturalism that you're fighting against, right? There's plenty of this mulattoism going around. So there shouldn't be something very new to you, right? That's not nothing new to you. It's just something that's a little hard to swallow. It's like castor oil. It's hard to take it down, right? And so the first thing you want to do is you want to call police. And with all the stuff that has been happening over the last few years, unless you know for a fact, why are you calling the police? And then you say, can I follow him? We heard that before about following. Didn't we hear that with Trayvon Martin? Well, follow him. Niggas always get away. And he gets his ass out following, don't even obey the order, and end up Trayvon getting killed, right? Told you don't follow, but she still followed. She was still following. She still was following the whole time. She said she doubled back around, right? So again, I understand when you're talking about in the community and you're being observant and, neighborhood watch. I get all that. But why is it the strange, funny feeling you're getting because you're seeing a black man with 2 white children, right? First thing you want to do, right? Think you did something nice. And then to come to find out everything was copacetic. It was supposed to be, right? But again, what happens when people call in on these so-called false accusations to get a false, in confrontation? When they gonna start making legislation when people do that? Now again, I'm not against community policing, neighborhood watch, and that kind of sort of thing. I'm not against that. But we've been seeing, as you seen the other day when I did the story about the woman about blocking the black man from coming in his own dwelling to come into the loft that he lived downtown, that he was suspicious. And I mean, we could just pull out story after story on how it just constantly this thing that's going on in the minds of white people that when they seeing black people, it's always. And then there was the young boy that got off the bus. Remember, he got off the bus. I mean, he missed his bus. I guess he was new to the area, never took the route or whatever, knocked on the first house he seen and was going to ask about how to get to this direction. And what does the white motherfucker do? Pull out his motherfucking gun, shooting at him. He was just asking for directions. Ty said he was breaking in. He's knocked on the door. And then when you see the video, it didn't match none of the shit that they were saying. So this funny feeling you having is your own shit. It's your own inclination of your own hatred is really what that is. But you're not going to be honest and say that, right? No. It's just a figure of your imagination. You're the only one that's saying it's not us, it's you. All right. So you would say, well, Mr. Blow Your Mind, you only would make stories talking about white people. What about black? What about the black people? Don't black people do crime? But black people kill black people. Yeah, they do. And white people kill white people too. Indian people kill Indian people too. Chinese people kill Chinese people too, right? But everybody put the onus on us. Well, let's say, okay, when you say the cops is always white, well, what about this? Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one to even up the game. Since you always want to say that, I'm going to give you one tonight. Check this out.
Happening right now, a Prince George's County police officer was arrested by his own police department because he's accused of raping a woman during a traffic stop.
Officer Ryan Macklin is facing multiple charges, including first and second degree rape. According to investigators, Officer Macklin pulled the woman over Thursday morning in Langley Park. During the stop, he allegedly forced the victim to perform a sex act while they were both sitting inside her car. At the time, Macklin was on duty in uniform and driving a marked cruiser. Officer Macklin is a 6-year veteran of the Prince George's County Police Department. He is now suspended without pay. Investigators are looking into whether there are more victims.
Are we even now? Are we even? Right? Okay, here's somebody who felt like he had the same authority, same power, right? He could do what everybody else do because he wears, again, the uniform. He got the badge. He has the authority, right? And took it too far. Wow. Man, that must have been one hell of a damn. Got to get some. Fellas, you know how it is. That, when he had at work on a traffic stop, felt like, man, I got to get it off right here, right now. Right now, again, this story just happened today. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not sure whether this person he knew or had some feeling, you know what I'm saying? Because that just seems a little bit too. Man, that's man. You can't use Gatorade. They ain't gonna quench that thirst. You get what I'm saying? I mean, man, as a police officer, I'm pretty sure you can get plenty of, you can get plenty. You know what I'm saying? So in this case, he couldn't even get off the clock. Again, I don't know what took place and what transpired, but I know one thing: they got you down for rape 1 and 2. Normally they don't get that. Matter of fact, I did that story. If you go back in the archive, you'll see when that was dealing with I forgot what state that was in. But I think it was Holclaw. That was actually an ex-football player that went to Notre Dame and became a cop. And they ended up charging him because it was a serial so-called cop was supposedly doing stuff that was, on the women in there, and then ended up being him, right? And then I did the video, and you'll see the actual proceeding in the court and how he got, he got charged and all that. So here it is now, this so-called brother. Now he's going to be the face of that, right? You going in there, again, trying to do the business as other people do, and it's not the same game. You can't pull that kind of stuff. There's certain probably corners of stuff they would cut, and they will, but again, they done already snatched gun, badge, car, pretty much got you fired, so it's like it's a done deal. And you was on duty with it. So it's like, okay, there you go. Don't say I don't make it balanced. I don't just talk about that. I'm bringing this one too, right? And that one who came in here to give that hate, yeah, I know you're in here. See, I see it already, right? Matter of fact, let me look at that. There's one person came in here and gave me the dislike. You came in here to get a dislike. What did you dislike it? All I'm doing is reporting what's already known. It's public information. But you don't like what I'm saying? Would you like to come in and you can have this? Are you still here? How about that? I would actually give you a chance to come in here and talk live with me. I'm willing to do that. You who did came in here and put that you dislike, I'll give you the opportunity to come in here and we can have that conversation. Are you still here? Or you ain't gonna say nothing? Probably not, right? Mad because you're saying that. But again, we know how it go. So again, ain't that kind of messed up though, that this brother's gonna have that, and that brother don't look like he should had to do that. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. Again, like I said, that urge must have been, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he couldn't. Man, I can't wait. Like you know what I'm saying? So that, again, not making light of the situation of the person who that happened to, but I'm just saying the scenario of this person and what transpired, at least according to the news report, right? So, what I got next for you? Well, this one here is going to be a little bit sad, y'all. This one here is going to be sad because it's kind of messed up. Let's see how I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to give it to you back to back, right? Check this out, and then I'll give you my connecting the dots to it. So check this out. Now it's gonna be in this, but the story gonna come behind it. So just pay attention to the video.
戏剧性的转变，戴某花的丈夫何某竟然现身了，并回到了娄底兴化县老家。之后，兴化公安发布通报称，戴某花丈夫何某向公安机关投案自首。经查，何某为逃避10余万网贷，隐瞒妻子购买赔偿金额为100万的人身意外险，利用寄来的车伪造坠河现场，制造车毁人亡假象，企图骗保。据了解，何某买的100万保险受益人正是妻子，之所以瞒着他，是想让妻子顺利拿到赔偿金。何某现身后，知道妻子和儿女死亡已经崩溃。目前，何某因涉嫌故意毁坏财物罪和保险诈骗罪被公安机关刑事拘留，案件还在进一步调查当中。而在投案自首前，何某曾联系兴化当地自媒体兴化焦点拍下忏悔视频。双方家属表示，在他们眼里，何某夫妻俩非常恩爱。因为今年2月小女儿突患癫痫，为了帮女儿治疗，夫妻俩花了不少钱，并曾向亲戚借款和网上筹款，面临很大的经济压力。记者从兴化县权威信源了解到，何某购买保险的唯一受益人就是妻子戴某花。
其行为其已经着手实施了诈骗行为，但是因为何某以外的意志以外的原因而没有骗取保险金，通常属于保险诈骗的未遂犯。如果说是属于诈骗的未遂，那么根据我国法律的规定在量刑的时候是适当可以酌情减轻刑罚、刑事处罚的，但是并不会因为他的未遂而免除其刑事处罚。如果说情节严重的，依法应当对其保险诈骗罪进行定罪予以处罚。
Husband fakes death without telling wife. Wife kills children and commits suicide. You know I'm going to read that again. Husband fakes death without telling wife. Wife kills children and commits suicide. This story was done today. And this is how it reads. A tragic story about a Chinese woman who killed herself and her 2 young children after believing her husband had died has shocked many in China. However, it was revealed that her husband, a 34-year-old man with the surname he faked his own death for insurance money and neglected to inform his family of his plan, Shanghai reports. He reportedly borrowed a car on September 19th, which authorities would later discover to have crashed in the Xinjiang River of Huang County. After searching the river and surrounding areas, the police failed to find his body. His 31-year-old wife, identified only by her surname, Day, was then captured on surveillance camera 3 weeks later walking with their 4-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter to a nearby pond. When they reached the pond, Day was seen binding the children's hand and throwing them into the water to drown them. She drowned herself shortly after. Prior to killing herself and her children, she had posted a suicide note on her WeChat account. In her post, Day revealed how her family, or how his family, had been accusing her of being a spendthrift, among other things. Her husband's relatives have also accused her of causing her husband's death. They said that she could no longer bear the weight of the accusations and has since lost the will to continue living. Dai added that she loved and missed her husband, explaining that she was killing herself and her children so that they could all be together again in the afterlife. He emerged from hiding a day after the bodies of his family were found. At the local police station, he confessed in tears how he faked his own death so he could solve his financial problems. He was later revealed to be over 100,000 yens, which is about $14,000 in debt, after taking out an online loan. According to the police, he had taken out a 1 million yuan, which is $144,000 life insurance policy on himself about a week before faking the car crash. Before he surrendered to the authorities, he recorded a video of himself apologizing to his dead children and explaining that he did not expect his wife would sacrifice herself and her kids. In the video that he shared on social media, he is shown wailing on the ground before airing his side in tears. He also explained that his online loans were intended to pay for his daughter's epilepsy treatment. The man is now being detained for intentional destruction of property and insurance fraud, although some legal experts have pointed out that no one actually filed a claim for the 1 million yen, so a conviction of fraud could be unlikely. As for the responsibilities for the death of his wife and kids, experts have also expressed doubt that a conviction would also be possible against he, despite the insistence of Dave's family that he is to blame for the tragedy. Mr. Bloyd, man, what are you talking about Chinese people? Well, I'm going to connect it to over here. Because, you know, despair and oppression is everywhere, right? So here it was in China. A man decided that he had a great idea about he's going to get an insurance claim to try to resolve some of his debt. But he's not going to tell his wife, because then that way when they announce him dead, she wouldn't know anything about it, right? So he wasn't expecting what was going to end up happening. So what he did is he, again, one was for $14,000, the other was for about $144,000. So you put that together, about $158,000, right? Dollars. He takes his car, run it into the river, right? They find the car, announce him dead. The wife, in grief, decide she's not going to live no longer without him, right? Because the pressure of the family is saying it's because you're a spendthrift. You know what I'm saying? You drove him to do what he did because you're trying to be living extravagant, and they putting the pressure on her, and so she's decided she's gonna take the 3 and the 4-year-old. She bind their hands and throw them in the lake to drown them, and then drown herself. Word gets out that took place. He was who in hiding comes out of hiding, right? to his amazement, he lost his whole family trying to do something that he thought was going to be right to actually get them out of debt so that they could, you know what I'm saying? He was going to Machiavelli some shit, right? Sad story, man. Now, let's just look at that. You know, we as DOS in this land, we go through a lot of shit. And a lot of us in debt. A lot of us try to be educated and going to school and getting student loans, but ain't got jobs or got jobs that can't really pay back, and you got other bills that are, you know, accumulating and so forth, and maybe you got family and children and so forth, or grandchildren, however it may be, right? And so it becomes overwhelming. Sometimes people try to think about how ways of making money. So when you look at us and look at the conditions we have always been in, that's why in certain, you know, let's say certain areas where our people live and reside, that you have those certain type of elements where you see people will, you know, sell the street pharmaceuticals, right? And that will be a kind of a, you know, a lane for financial economic freedom or independence, right? But it is a cause and effect in that, right? Because that which they sell is a byproduct of those who are using, and that will create another type of dynamic, and then it breeds a whole mess of shit, right? And so people get caught up in that despair, and so what happens is you end up having some women who can't have money. What they do, they start tricking, right? They start doing things for the habit or to make little ends, you know, stuff like that, and dudes. And now these days, you got young men who out here selling their backside, right? You know, all kind of shit going out here. And it shows how people will do desperate things to try to do what they can to survive in situations where it look like there's many people who are thriving and got. And everybody acts as if like you could obtain it if you just do the right things. See, some people have done the right things in life, and still the outcome don't end up ends meeting, right? You know what I'm saying? When so many people are vibing for so many handfuls of, you know, positions and employment and opportunities, and then somehow you start putting it on yourself, and you try to think like, man, I'm a failure, you know. So in depression and all this other stuff, and you got the bills running like a cab meter, and they need to be paid. So people come up with, you know, ingenious ideas of how to resolve this, but again, to no avail. It don't never really work. It's kind of like right now. How much money is going to be made on this lottery that's $868 million? Did y'all hear that shit? $868 million, right? Check this out. Won't they take that $860 million? You ain't even got. We're just gonna hypothetically take it. You take that $860 million and go to the descendants of slaves and give them, divide that by what, about 45 to 50 million of us. Divide that money up and give each one of us our share, right? And that could clear up a lot of shit, right? That'll clear a lot of shit up in this country. You know, that's this. Right? That's this hypothetical talk, right? They ain't never gonna do no shit like that, Mr. Blow Your Mind. That's talking too much like right. You're talking too much like right with that. You know they ain't gonna do no shit like that. Yeah, I know. But we're gonna still keep trying. We ain't gonna give up on that fight, right? Yeah, I got people who advocate for, you know, reparations and stuff like that. It's not far-fetched. And then you have the brand new mugs out here. You brand new. When you're brand new, you I don't want no handout. That was them. You a connection to them. Now, if you don't want your share, you can always get it and give it to somebody else. Say if you a dumbass don't want it, right? And again, I'm not saying, I know, you know, as time go on, we'll see. But where you going with this? I'm just showing the connection, not so much with that, because that's a sad story, right? That's this tragic. Matter of fact, they even said, ain't no need to even charge him. He got to deal with that. That idea that he came up with the scheme to try to make that to make that happen, he ended up losing his family, not because that was the outcome he was looking to get, but see, because the wife didn't understand what he was doing, she didn't want to live without him. And plus she was taking the burden because the family was saying she's the cause of reason why you was doing what you did, or your demise came because of her. So she was grief-stricken and guilt-feeling, and so she not going to leave and didn't have the kids. She said, we all going to go because we're going to see you in the afterlife, and here you is still on the planet. So, yeah, you see him bawling and, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he fucked up. Wouldn't you be fucked up? If you did that shit and that ended up happening, wouldn't you be the same way? So, yeah. Now, let me go in there and see what's going on out here. So I got 6 people in the house. Let's see what y'all talking about in here. Out the box said, not Galveston. Angela Barron, damn. Pamela Elrod, great conversation. Out of the box, I remember, what conversation when I became a woman I had to find out the hard way. Embarrassment. Sounds like some witch shit. Okay. Angela Barron, okay. Well, actually this show wasn't going to be real long tonight, because this other one I got to do has something to do with the simple fact that I think was coming around the pipe, right? This next story that I'm about to do got something to do with what we're doing right now, how I'm communicating with you, how what you're doing, listening to me, and, you know, going back a little bit, especially I think in England, they had already was doing this kind of curtailing the First Amendment as to free speech on the internet, right? Well, check this out. Look what happened. Oh, they're talking about, and I caught that story. Now, a lot of stuff that I do over here, you'll be up on it before everybody else, because a lot of these other black channels are not going to get on this, right? I'm going to get you because you're going to be up on stuff from day one when it's happening, even though I'm doing the work for you. Eventually, we'll get around to, you know, we'll talk about that another time. But you'll be up on stuff that you should be up on, stories and all that other stuff, because that's, again, and I will get back to some of the work I was doing prior to some of y'all, the reason why y'all came over here and subscribed in the first place. But, again, I try to keep you up on something because, again, like they said, they have you looking over here, you don't be paying attention over here. Now, for those who have a channel and doing as content creators, this might be a little interesting for you, and otherwise not, then you'll see. If you don't do it, then you'll just realize, as you have seen some changes, like you go to a lot of channels dropped off. Remember when they start cutting that monetary money? You're seeing a lot of channels fall off. So it's not a lot of people doing it as it was at one time. And they're still coming back now with something else. Now check this out. Let me pull this up here. And check this story out here. And then I'll come back afterwards. Supreme Court agrees to hear a case that could determine whether Facebook, Twitter, and other social media companies can censor their users. You know I'm going to read that again. Supreme Court agrees to hear a case that could determine whether Facebook, Twitter, and other social media companies can censor their users. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a case that could determine whether users can challenge social media companies on free speech grounds. The case, Manhattan Community Access Court versus Hellick number 17-702, centers on whether a private operator of a public access television network is considered a state actor, which can be sued for First Amendment violations. The case could have broader implications for social media and other media outlets. In particular, a broad ruling from the High Court could open the country's largest technological companies up to the First Amendment lawsuits. That could shape the abilities of companies like Facebook, Twitter, and Alphabet's Google to control the content on their platforms as lawmakers clamor for more regulations and activists on the left and right spar over issues related to censorship and harassment. The Supreme Court accepted the case on Friday. It is the first case taken by the reconstituted High Court after Justice Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation earlier this month. On its face, the case has nothing to do with social media at all. Rather, the facts of the case concerns public access television and two producers who claim they were punished for expressing political views. The producer, Didi Halleck and Jesus Melendez, say that the Manhattan Neighborhood Network suspended them for expressing views that were critical of the network. In making the argument to the justices that the case was worthy of review, attorneys for MNN said the court could use the case to resolve a lingering dispute over the powers of social media companies to regulate the content on their platforms. While the First Amendment is meant to protect citizens against government attempts to limit speech, there are certain situations in which private companies can be subject to First Amendment liabilities. Attorneys for MNN have made the case that social media companies are clearly not government actors, but in the raising the question, they have provided the Supreme Court an opportunity to weigh in. We stand at a moment when the very issue at the heart of this case, the interplay between private entities, non-traditional media, and the First Amendment, has been playing out in the courts and other branches of government and in the media itself. Attorneys for MNN wrote in the final plea to the justices to take up the case. A ruling against MNN on the broad question it has asked the court to consider could open social media companies to First Amendment suits, which would force them to limit the actions they take to control the content on their platforms. The court also ruled more narrowly against MNN in a way that does not impact the companies. The case is likely to get extra attention as it moves forward, given Republican lawmakers increasing attacks against social media companies for perceived partisanship. Those attacks have raised the specters that the court, which has served as a bulwark for conservative expression, could step in. Some observers have expressed caution, saying that the justices are unlikely to rule in a way that could substantially impact social media companies. Michael Pachter, a former tax attorney who covered Twitter as an analyst at Wedbush Securities, said he thought it was extremely unlikely that the court will issue a ruling that hamstrings social media companies, particularly given the court's deference to business interests. If the court does not place serious limits on how the companies can restrict the speech on their platforms, he said, it would make the networks more hostile, alienating their users and advertisers. Twitter is an uncivil place as it is, Pachter said, but it will become less civil. Courts in California and New Jersey have weighed in on the issue, finding that social media companies do not constitute state actors subject to First Amendment liability. A federal judge in New York ruled in May that the First Amendment protects users' interactions with parts of Twitter, including the president's feed, but that ruling did not apply to Twitter as a whole. The Supreme Court addressed a relative issue in June of 2017 in Pacman versus North Carolina, number 15-1194. The court struck down a state law that prohibits sex offenders from accessing social media sites. In his opinion, for the court, Justice Anthony Kennedy, who retired over the summer, referred to social media sites as a modern public square. But the court decision left important questions about what exactly that meant up in the air. Conservatives allege censorship. While the justices tend to describe themselves as being apolitical, the Court of Chief Justice John Roberts has shown a distinct preference for speech causes that concerns conservative ideology, according to an empirical analysis conducted by researchers affiliated with Washington University in St. Louis and the University of Michigan. The analysts found that the justices of the court appointed by Republican president sided with conservative speech nearly 70% of the time. More than any other modern court, the Roberts courts have trained its site on speech promoting conservative values, the authors found. Polls show that both Democrats and Republicans believe that social media companies censor their users. However, the issue swings heavily conservative. 85% of Republicans believe that social media companies censor speech the companies find objectionable, compared with 62% of Democrats, according to a June survey conducted by the Pew Research Center. The survey also found that 4 in 10 Americans believe that the companies favor liberal speech, versus 1 in 10 who believe the companies have favored conservative speech. In August, President Donald Trump blasted Google for allegedly suppressing conservative speech. In a post on Twitter, Trump wrote that they are controlling what we can and cannot see. This is a very serious situation, will be addressed. Republican Devin Nunes, Republican California, the conservative chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, in July accused Twitter of censorship and threatened legal action against the company. Perhaps most dramatically, Facebook, YouTube, Apple, and the music platform Spotify removed content from right-wing conspiracy theorists and provocateurs Alex Jones in August, accusing the talk show host of violating these terms or their terms of service. Indeed, MMM cited Jones' removal in a legal brief, saying it was an example of the heightened attention of the issue of First Amendment right online. The major social media companies, which either did not respond or declined to comment to CNBC, have said that they do not censor speech based on political ideology. In August, as the uproar from the conservatives reached a fever pitch, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey called into the radio show hosted by conservative commentator Sean Hannity. "We do not shadow ban according to political ideology or viewpoints or content, period," Dorsey said at the time. For its part, Google released a statement saying that its search feature is not used to set a political agenda, and we don't bias our results towards any political ideology. During an April hearing before the Senate Commerce and Judiciary Committees, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg was grilled by Senator Ted Cruz, Republican Texas, about whether Facebook considered itself a neutral public forum. There are a great many Americans who I think are deeply concerned that the Facebook and other tech companies are engaged in a pervasive pattern of bias and political censorship, Cruz said. In response, Zuckerberg said that Facebook is a platform for all ideals. All right, I got it all out. I got it out. So that story was based on that the Supreme Court is looking at a case. And they say, well, the case is not really about social media. Well, yeah, that's what they say, right? But there's something in that case that they're looking at that they could actually use. And it's talking about censorship. So you see how you over here, and you see how Mr. Blow Your Mind is do what he do, and I talk, and I say what I feel is adequate for the conversation, right? And they take somebody like Alex Jones, who was, when you consider some of these social media channels, some of the elite channels where they have a large subscriptionship, right, or followers. And so when they took him down, him and PewDiePie, and I think PewDiePie ended up coming back. But again, that's just to show if we can grab those big guys, all you little ones, it'll be easy to be knocked down. So what I'm saying is, YouTube got a little black corner, right? It's kind of like the corner that the builders rejected, right? We got the corner that the builders reject, and the stuff that we're talking about over here, right? Some people, again, like there's somebody who in here who gave a negative on the video. Again, that don't bother me. You have the freedom of choice to choose what you want. I don't do all that blocking and banning and all. If you don't like what I do, that's fine. You can even comment and give me what again. Like I said, I even offer you the opportunity if you want to come on here. We can have it live on the show, and I'll bring you in. You can have your dialogue and debate right here live when I'm here. So, but again, for those who've seen that video that I did, let's say, extinction of the white race, right? From on this appearance, it looked like, oh, this, I'm in there and I'm talking about, let's go and let's do all this violence again. No. I just gave you the statistic. I gave you, my rendition of my artistry of how I'm, putting videos together, and I gave you, some of the history and some of the facts to it and the science of what they say. Nothing in there really that, like, it wasn't public information. You get what I'm saying? And so what they did with that is that, well, they didn't quite, they say ban it, but what they did is the numbers won't change. There's no flow. Now, if you look at all the stuff that since I came back on, look at my numbers of my videos, 100, 150. I got supposed to have 3,000 people, unless all of them are agents. I have at least 3,000 people, right? I've been doing this since 12, but I wasn't really doing it. I was kind of just flippantly doing it, right? And then I kind of got a little bit and I did this. I said, well, now it's been 6 years, right? But I don't have 6 years really worth of work. But when I did start to get into it, I started to build up. It was 275, 51,000. You know what I'm saying? It was out there. But no, they're going to censor me. And they didn't censor me in the way that they normally do everybody. So they strike you and do all that stuff. What it did is took you out of the algorithm. So it make it appears no one is watching or hearing you. Right? No one's listening to what you're talking about. Okay? So now what they're going to do is, since they know that we're starting to catch on to that, they're just going to make it legalizing it. They're going to censor you, and that's going to be because they're going to be able to penalize YouTube, Facebook. So think about those who be on Facebook and all that. A lot of stuff that people who are activists in that formal way, or they do a lot of blogging and stuff like that. They're going to be censoring all that. So it's going to get to the fact, it's going to get to the point where you're not going to have these type of forums, or it's going to be so curtailed to the fact that, you're going to have to watch your P's and Q's. As tonight, as you see, I kind of not, I'm going to be me. Fuck all the bullshit. What's going to be, need to be said, going to be said. But I'm just saying, try to put a little seasoned salt on. I try to do it just for the simple fact that I can do it. You know what I'm saying? I have two sides to it. You see, I can switch speeds like Bruce Lee riding a Fuji in the movie. Now, if you didn't, get the tape, rewind, come back and hear it again. Y'all heard that before. So anyway, so what's going on here is this can have some implications as some of the stuff that's in this black corner. Again, they came up with BIE not too long ago, which is Black Identity Extremists, right? It was, trying to label those who, again, because of black pride and independence. Matter of fact, I did a video, remember when I told y'all that, being black power in the sense of what they say, because remember, a dictionary means what we say, and what we say is who runs this and controls this, right? So they say black power means if anytime somebody's over here with black identity, with black pride, if you're talking about independent from being oppressed, right, trying to unify, collectivize, and be politically, then all that is extremism. Ain't that a bitch? Everybody else can have their shit, but when it comes to us, we can't do that shit because it's identity extremism. Yeah, we ain't doing no terrorist acts. We ain't blowing up shit. We ain't doing none of that shit, but just because the swords that are coming out of our mouths, and you know what? A lot of people ain't even watching TV as much as they used to. They over here on YouTube. They on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Social media is becoming with the new outlet where people is going to get their information from, and they find certain people who they say they're credible. well, you know, going back to the election with Hillary, them, they was like, well, that's the reason why she didn't win. Not because of all the shit that people who really are politically astute that understand was like, no, I'm about to say the word, but no, you had your ass, you ain't right. You get what I'm saying? And so they blamed it on a lot of the social media as the reason why all that took place. And then they talk about all the shit with Donald Trump and Russia and so forth. Whatever. But the point is, if Master catch cold, we gonna catch pneumonia. So if they curtailing them, and I don't know how many, majority of that probably is what they say the right wing, alt-right type, those channels. But if they ain't gonna be, you know, censoring them, then that shit gonna trickle down, and then I'll be over here, you know, saying, you know, talking straight plain, or I won't be on here. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like how the alternative was when people came and created Black Twitter. Never went over that. Don't know what that's about. For those y'all who might have gone over there, you might know what that was. Was there any difference between Twitter and Black Twitter? Or did it give you a place where black people were convening and conversing, and then you had flyers on the walls and they're writing down all the shit y'all was talking about? Just like they doing in here. Same shit, right? So I just brought that information for those who might just be content creators who are using the platforms to, you know, talk about the things that they feel that have some interest to those people or the community and so forth. That again, they coming back again. So again, I'll keep my eye on that. And if there's anything change, you know, I will bring it to the channel. So that's pretty much what I brought for tonight. I had more. I thought I was actually going to get this to 2 exactly, but it will be 2 when the show ends. And I want to thank all of y'all subscribers. I hope majority of you in here are subscribers. And if not, subscribe. Please hit the like button or dislike, comment, or whatever, you know. And again, I'm looking for, when I do live shows, now again, I'm going to say it again, if you would like to be a panelist, meaning I'm allow you, when I show the videos, you can have your input live on this show, right? You know, kind of like how you watch CNN and they do what they do. You could be, you send me an Gmail, I'll see who you is, I'll look and see how much have you, you know, how long you been with this, you know, my channel and so forth. Because again, I'm trying to grow it, and I'm going to need you guys to get me back in the algorithm. Because the stuff that I'm going to bring, because again, I'm just getting back into the, you know, those who've been over here lately, you see, I've been getting on. Like I was on 3 times last week, right? I've been on twice this week. You know what I'm saying? I still got a couple more days, so I'm getting back into that. I'm gonna start being on here, you know, 3, 4, 5 days. So I'm just starting to keep pumping more shit and getting more shit and bringing it up and bringing some history and all kinds of shit and some interviews, all that shit coming. So just stay tuned. So I'm just asking you on your part, share, tell people. I'm trying to find a good time, right? Because I think my timing is kind of off because a lot of people are saying they're at work and so forth. And I think this is a good time because, again, some of the stuff that I be talking about, I don't want the kids, even though the kids may come across the video. And most of the way they got it right now, I'm not even local. They got me on a corner. I can't get it off the corner of YouTube. That's why my videos is 150, 80, 150, you know what I'm saying? It just don't make sense. For something that's on 365, 24 hours, they tell you that this is global, but no, we local. Most of us is blocked. Some of us is on the block. Some of us is, you know, let's say a community. Some of us just local. Some of us is city. Some of us is state. Not too many of us is international. You know what I'm saying? Because I see some people who have, let's say there's this brother that got this show, The Advice Show, if y'all haven't seen that. He has, say he got 800,000 subscribers. I would assume if 800,000 subscribers that at least you would average daily 2, 3, 4. Let's say if you could get 50% of the people. That's at least 400,000 people per video that you drop. if you don't get all of them. The numbers is only like low. Now, again, some people say people might be purchasing and all that. Again, that's they show. I don't get into all that. But I'm just saying, when you look at people's shows, those shows seem to be as big, but they don't seem to get the expansiveness that they should be getting. It's because they have restrictions. Even though you may think, you know, you'll get a person here and a person there, and they might be from these countries, but you're not getting as much as you think you should be getting. Because if there's 7 billion people, 7.5 billion people on the planet, you know, somebody should be having some, you know, I mean, 1 million shouldn't be like, that's viral. You get what I'm saying? If there's 340 million people in this country alone, 1 million shouldn't be that, you know what I'm saying? If you got a nice popping channel, that should be nothing. You gonna tell me the majority of the people in America, and again, I know there's a segment of us who are more that don't have the finances, because shit, cable getting no motherfucker to pay, right? Shit, you live in cities like Chicago where they paying $40 for taxes, including the cable bill. That's because all that motherfucker stealing, you know what I'm saying, greasing pockets and shit, right? But I'm just saying, you know, you telling me that 300, and I know majority of that is children. So let's say 340, so half of that is 150 is 300, 40 is 20. So we're talking 170 million are adults. Let's say 170 million. Out of 170 million, what percentage of that is on these social media? Oh shit, we just say of 100 million of them. So how are these videos that people are doing are only like 1 million, 2 million? You know what I'm saying? So this shit ain't as expansive as you think it is. Again, so again, I just want to bring that information for those who out here. Now, we're at the 2-hour mark. And again, I'm going to thank everybody who showed up and came out tonight. I'll be back on tomorrow. Hopefully I can get on the same time, same channel. And I'm going to close out the show. Let me look back in the audience again before I go. See if anybody got something they want to say. Angela Barron said those cookies. Ain't that right? Ain't that something? Our little girl decides she gonna bake cookies and come to school, but she gonna put granny ashes in the shit and then she gonna serve to everybody, huh? It don't need to be no. It wasn't going. You don't need to go tell the principal. Everybody should have been putting their foot in her back. That's what they should have been doing. What kind of mindset is that anyway? I mean, right? You gonna okay? Damn, you hated your granny that much. You gonna put it in the cookie batch. Can't even fathom the mindset. You know what I'm saying? It just don't make sense, right? Angela say it sound like some witch shit, huh? Yeah, like some you know, bewitched done went wild and shit, huh? She done got the wrong batch. She done smoked the wrong shit. Mr. Spencer, I'm late, my brother. I will catch you on tomorrow. Yeah. It's all good. I'm glad that you showed up, Mr. Spencer. Yeah, I'm trying to be more like consistent on the time. So if you've been noticing the times, about what the time, I'm trying to find an even better slot, because again, maybe my slot is not in sync with most of the majority of the people, and so I don't know if I need to be a little bit more earlier. I try to come on because everybody done wind down a little bit. Oh, you want to talk about white extinction? What you want to say? What you want to say, brother, on the white extinction? We can get in that. We can get in that for a little bit. Now, the white extinction. Go ahead. Give me something you want to talk about on that white extinction. That's Lorenzo Williams. What? Something in particular you want to talk about that white extinction? Now, when I originally did that, right, if you go look at the date it was, right, you see the date that it was done on, but there's a seriousness in that, because that's real, because that's where a lot of this animosity, I think, is coming. A lot of the animosity is coming for the simple fact that they said, according to by 2040, that they will fall from, you know, number 1 to number 2, right? And, you know, psychologically, you know, they've been talking about the browning of America, right? And so, you know, psychologically, and as again, you got little girls who put grandma dead ashes in the damn cookie, right? And she the byproduct of somebody, right? So again, like some of the other stories we've seen, right? And oh, you talking about time frame? Okay. Again, like I said, you know, not to cut the build, but the time frame would be, you know, what would be more appropriate for everybody? Would it be between 8 and 10? What would be better for everybody? Because I get the timeline I got is between 8 and 10 on most of the days. Now, I come at this because again, I'm more of an adult show. I ain't really the kid. I'm gonna say things that, again, like I said, they about to try to censor. So I got to get it all out before they censor it all up. Brother Coleman said the year 3000. They said 2040, according to originally when they were doing that study. Now they may be pushing the date back again, buying time, right? But because of all this swirling going on, you know what I'm saying, they can't plug the hole, and they're having a hard time procreating to replenish the numbers. Again, they, due to so much, you know, focusing on us and trying to fuck us up, they missed the time where they probably could have done to keep themselves to get to 3,000. You see what I'm saying? And then the fact that, according to that study, was talking about their women were doing late in life, starting to have children. When, you know, our people were having children just for the simple fact that they were having relations, had nothing to do with even with marriage. And so us, Hispanics, everybody else was having babies. But this was not just here. This also was happening in Europe as well, right? So they were seeing that trend, and they knew that trend was coming. So then, you know, that power that's underneath that, let's say the Wizard of Oz, they knew. So they started to, you know, propagate to black women and just get with the white man, because see, he needs to pass his seed, because he done, again, like I said in the video, he done already got in his mind, if he had to be black, he has a certain prototype that he's willing to fit. He can look like Stephen Curry. He can look like, you know what I'm saying? He can look like Beyonce. She can look like Beyonce and all that. They cool with that. Just don't look like, you know, I don't want to say nobody in particular, but you know what I'm saying, right? So, the 2040 was the original. 2030, right? 2030 and 2040, they would drop, because they were already in the negative birth rates. And so they're seeing it. And plus, then you see that the heroin has came in, and that's tearing their ass up. And then you got all this other shit that's tearing their ass up. So that's why you're seeing a lot of that dynamic between black men. And then you got, you know, the black man whose preference is more about being with whites. That's tearing them up. Because remember, I said in the videos where I said, those who doing that, I said, you're doing a good job, right? If that's what you trying to do, you decimating them with that, right? Because again, remember, their whole concept is one drop of black blood make you black. So the minute that one of us as a male have, you know, copulate with one of their women, that you might as well throw that factor away, because that, you know, they don't want to be having no white woman and got a black baby. Then they don't want that shit. So, you know, multiculturalism, and there's a lot of those right wings who do talk to me, and they tell me, they said that was implemented by another group of people. The group that call themselves religion, that use religion like a race. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. So they said they the one brought that to the game. So I said, well, then who brought the opium? Is that opium going back to when they went in, you know, ancestry, when that opium went over into Asia and fucked up the Chinese, and now that the Chinese got all this money and buying up everything, is he the one pumping that motherfucking heroin in their ass? And this is why they took all this, trying to embargo, keep all this shit. I mean, you know, again, the game is deep if you're really studying it. White extinction is news now. I remember your show back then. Yeah, again, like I said the other night, I said that if you can find anybody, I was the one who brought that to the Black Corner. That came to me, and that's why that video actually, I mean, I remember when I was putting it together, everything was coming to me how to do it. It was coming to me how to put that together. So if you could find anybody from the Black Corner who did the white extinction, everybody talked about that because of what I put out there. That's why I put it this way. It's much bigger than what you think it is. They stopped the numbers. I could have made so many videos off the comments, and I was going to do it, and then they shut it down because they realized I was letting it build up. They were saying some of the most outrageous shit over there. They were saying some wild shit, and I was like, okay, don't worry about it. I got you covered, right? So, yeah, white extinction is now the news, but that goes back almost 5 years ago. When I first, it was 4 years, it was going on 5. It'll be 5 years soon. So I had put that out. And so y'all who got that, y'all was up on it, but then it finally caught up. And now you hear it being regurgitated so much now, and now that they knew that we knew. That's the problem. The problem became when we knew. See, as long as they knew, they were working scientifically on how to, you know what I'm saying, this is where all this stem cell and all this stuff about trying to get, you know, living long. This is what they're doing. They're fighting against that. But see, it has to be spiritual, because everything, you know, that survives has to procreate. So if something, your reproduction system is not going to allow you to do that naturally, then you have to say who created nature is fighting you. It's saying no more of this. This has to go out. So that's why I say, why you mad? You can't be mad at me. I ain't got nothing to do with that. This is just the dynamic of the designer, the creator who created it. So you can't be mad at me for me bringing the information. That's all it was. It was public information anyway. The problem is they didn't know somebody was actually reading this shit of us. You see what I'm saying? That's what I do. That's why I'm the whiteologist. I come and I do the shit that most of y'all won't even think about looking at. And then I say, look, y'all, check this out. Did you know this? Did you see this? Now, again, I'm just getting back into this. So as I get more into it, I'm going to bring some other shit that's way different than this shit. It's going to be way different than this. So I say, just stay tuned. That's all. Just stay in. Again, this ain't building up, but I ain't got nothing else to show y'all. At least not tonight. Tomorrow, I got stuff that I got for tomorrow, not tonight. So, again, I want to appreciate everybody who's here. Mr. Spencer, Lorenzo Williams, Angela Barron, Out the Box, Mr. and Mrs. Did y'all work that out the box? Pamela Elrod, great conversation. Thank you. And that's what it is. So you know how I got to close it out. Actually, I'm going to try to change up this this ending, different than the way I come on, but it will be done. So again, appreciate everybody who came here tonight. Again, stay black, stay strong, because we built from that. Been there. We can do it again. We know something coming. We do know that. It has to come. You got to have something to offset what's happening. How you got to think about this. If things keep progressing the way it is, and they're saying that the browning of this country is getting browner, and you who is of not brown, you need something to prevent the browning or try to delay it. And if y'all been hearing lately, they're talking about that flu coming, right? Because remember, a lot of people start vaccinating their children. So now they done came with something. And I remember reading an article maybe 2 years ago. I still got it. I probably could present it tomorrow, let y'all see that. Well, Bill Gates talked about there will be about, 300,000 people will die from this mysterious flu. Now they're starting to say that this flu is coming up. You get what I'm saying? So like I said, I'll be up on that kind of stuff. So I'll start bringing it for y'all to hear. So let me go ahead and close y'all out. So about same time tomorrow, same time. Peace, love, and hair grease. And everybody be good, man. Till next time.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything. Can you feel it?
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on, and it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they've died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saved 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians, when Irish love Irish, but when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin.
They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant. Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down.
The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version.
5 months before me. There are only 2 possible explanations. They were 5 months before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to fucking You can't make me do anything like my friend. Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga, and if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
Well, I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? Knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, "Brother Greg, you coming by today?" And I said, "Malcolm, I love you." And I said, "I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there." He said, "What do you mean, Brother Greg?" I said, "Well, I close tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East." And I said, "But I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead."
Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.